Smangele, welcome to the Rundown.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, let's talk about this culture of reading in the country. It's received a lot of backlash where people say, you know, because of the 140 characters on Twitter, you know, people now can't stomach a book. Is that the case?
I think, different things require different appetites. And so I think a lot more people are also reading digitally. We know that they're reading from their devices. We know they have laptops and all of these things. And so for us, we have a project that is just to help provide digital access to picture storybooks for children.
And how important is that, especially in an age where there's, we have digital, migration in terms of, reading on an iPad, in terms of accessing our laptops and our phones, but also for children particularly to ensure that not only do they meet the demands of technology, but they continue to read?
I think in an ideal world, we'd have books in children's hands everywhere. But we know that some areas struggle with access to materials. And that access to materials, particularly in our context, means in our own languages. And so with a lot of people not confident enough to even enter into an exclusive books on basis of just access or even cost, what we provide then is a digital platform where people can download. And two of our apps as well exist where people can make books and they can read books in any of their languages. So it certainly does bridge the divide in terms of physical access of books, which is important.
But also staying with the issue of language, Smangele, which I'm glad you brought up. I mean, yes, we're talking about the access to books, but authors, are we seeing more authors comfortable enough to write about, whatever literature of their interest, but also in some of our 11 official languages that we have?
We are seeing an upward spike, so to say, gradual. And I think it needs to be encouraged more, especially in young people. The more that they speak the language, the more that they read in it, then they can also see opportunities to work in their own languages, and so that it doesn't become a foreign concept.
Right. And what are some of the challenges that you would think African, authors face, particularly in terms of access to funding or just making sure their books get to the people? Because we often see all these books, and a high percentage of them in our bookstores are not African authors.
Well, I think there are a few barriers to entry in terms of the publishing industry. I mean, we spoke about one of the main ones, which is language. But we also speak to markets. So markets where authors can actually sell successfully. Print runs in this country are still not high enough. And this is also because the culture of reading and access to books is still unattainable for a lot of people for different reasons. And so today, in terms of World Read Aloud Day, it sort of like provides quite a practical solution for people to start changing the tide in terms of literacy in their lives.
So I do then have the book on my hands. How would you then advise that I incorporate into my lifestyle? Because people often complain, I never get time. I can't seem to find the time to read. How do you think that we can, incorporate it in a fun way with the children, with the whole family, with friends?
I mean, we always say 15 minutes is enough. And I think people find themselves scrolling on their phones for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. You can definitely spend 15 minutes with your child reading a book. And children's books are quite easily accessible. And I mean, on our platform, to be specific, we have nearly 200 languages from all over the continent. So I think the idea that books in our languages are not available, and they're not even available digitally, is something that we can slowly begin to overcome. But 15 minutes a day is all it takes.
And then because children, I mean, when we place a special focus on children, they spend a majority of their time in schools, right? As a parent, how do you then build that relationship with the teacher to ensure that what you want for your child at home, by ensuring that they read and read out loud, happens at school, but you also get that report from the teacher in terms of progress made by the child?
I think what people have to understand is that the principal role model is the parent. and that the teachers are there to provide supplementary care to the child. So as a parent, you are more in a position to tell the teacher what is interesting for your child, what are they currently reading. And parents also need to be involved in schools to go and volunteer, to go and read to the class. I mean, today is a perfect day.
Right.
You know,
I like
so
that idea.
You just volunteer to your early childhood development center, go to your children's class, ask the teacher if you can buy books for the school. Especially there are many schools that don't have access, and we need various resources. We need the print, we need the digital,
right.
We need spoken language. You know, we need different creative strategies to really deal with the literacy challenges.
Well, I appreciate you coming and sharing these gems with us. Thank you so much, Smangele, for joining us right here. There was Smangele Mathebula from the South African Institute for Distance Education.